From the heartland of America, focused on God, family, and country, the mouthpiece of the Midwest. This is Dale Carter's America.
We're back in the podcast studio in Raytown, Missouri. I'm Dale Carter. He is Kurt Wheeler. And we welcome you to Dale Carter's America, the podcast, which you can get so many different ways. And if you just stumbled across it for the first time, we would love for you to subscribe and share and view and welcome in the world. Because sometimes on my Facebook posts that I put out, I think there are people there who react to things I put on Facebook, Kurt, and they have never listened to or watched an episode because they make assumptions that, quite frankly, are not true.
Well, just based purely on numbers, we're getting some big numbers on some of the Facebook posts. I mean, I think there was one we had that had like 300,000 views or something crazy like that. It was like your Obama library grouch trash can thing. So yeah, if even 1%, 10% of those people came over and subscribed, we would that would help us out a lot. So share the link with your friends. Check us out on YouTube or Rumble for the video podcast. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts for the audio only version, and then make sure to follow on Facebook, which you're already doing. So.
Absolutely. We appreciate you for that. We consider ourselves the safe space for rooting for the country, and regardless of any policy disagreement, at the end of the day, we want the country to do well. Someone who agrees with us in that is Bob Watson. He is my State Farm agent. We would love to make him yours. 712 Main Street in Blue Springs. You can reach him at 816-229-7878. He's licensed in both Missouri and Kansas, so he's not limited to Blue Springs. He can do auto, home, life, renter's insurance, any kind of insurance. If you care enough to insure it, Bob is your guy. Bundle your car and home insurance and save even more. Like a good neighbor, State Farm and my friend Bob Watson are there. So we're dropping this episode on Saturday. We welcome in another month. It's going to be August. The Missouri primary is coming up on Tuesday. And for me personally, it's kind of like a preseason game, kind of like the Chiefs preseason game.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't count, but it matters. I would love to have people, I know there are going to be a lot of interest on the amendments that we're going to be talking about, that we have talked about, that Andy Bacher was on the podcast talking about. So when you're in there, even though you see in District 5, and this is for like Eastern Independence, all of Blue Springs, Grain Valley, Oak Grove, Buckner, Sibley, unincorporated areas of northeastern Jackson County, just color in my little box there. It'll make me feel good. It's like a preseason game. Give me a couple of touchdowns, maybe a field goal or two.
Yeah.
And I'll go into November feeling really great.
He needs the confidence boost, people.
Yeah. If I lose to a write-in candidate, I'm probably going to go sulk for like a month. So let's not let that happen. And
that'll expedite the whole moving to Florida.
It really will. It'll get me back to plan A. Right now I'm on plan B. I was on plan A with a retirement goal in mind, and now it's like, oh, you want me to do this, huh? Well, now I'm in it, and so, it changes the whole math on that. So that's coming up on Tuesday, and again, get out there and vote for those amendments. There are other things on the ballot as well. The main event is going to be November 3rd. That's when our district gets to decide between me and a socialist. I mean, I thought he was just a run-of-the-mill Democrat, but the more I get to know him, he is a socialist. Have we talked since I did the forum for the League of Women Voters?
Yes.
Okay, so we've already talked about that.
We talked about it last week.
Did we talk about his phrase, 10 toes in for District 5?
I don't know about that.
Yeah. We put up on my campaign Facebook page, Dale Carter for Blue Springs, I think is how you find that, although now it's Dale Carter for Missouri. But if you can get to my campaign page, we put up my answers to the questions asked by the League of Women Voters. We did not put up his answers. And he did use the term 10 toes in for District 5. And I like that phrase. I told him, I said, I like that phrase. 10 toes in. I get that. That's good. But there are certain areas where we've had things of very important nature in District 5, and he's been nowhere to be found. We had the public hearing on the McCune property near Fort Osage. That's an important area in Jackson County.
Sorry.
Oh, you found the video?
Yeah. I'm muting.
So anyway, we had that hearing on the McCune property. He was nowhere to be found. The town hall meeting on the dangerous battery storage facility going into Sibley. I didn't see him in the crowd. I was working with the folks in Sibley and Buckner to get that thing killed. There was a bipartisan event on tax assessments hosted by Phil Lavoda in Blue Springs. He wasn't there. All major events in District 5, Mr. Ten Toes wasn't there. He was busy worrying about ICE, the Truman Sports Complex, and building affordable housing there, which is crazy, conversion therapy, which we've talked about, and, of course, the flock cameras. That's his new thing that he's beating the drum on. Then there's funding. Candidates have to report who they get money from and how much to the Missouri Ethics Commission. You can go to the Missouri Ethics Commission.gov. I think it's mec.gov. And you can see my campaign, where we've raised money, how we've spent the money. And you'll see some names in there that you probably know. Gail Worth, who owned Gail's Harley-Davidson for a long time. Mark Muller, who's a sponsor of this podcast. Bob Watson, who's a sponsor of this podcast, have all contributed to my campaign. When you look at his, you're not going to recognize the names. Antoine's top donor is a physician's assistant from upstate New York with no apparent ties to Antoine or this area. Most of his donors are the small dollar variety, and they are from all around the country. He's using something called Act Blue. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's using Act Blue, and every day he throws out a post that says, hey, just give me $20. Just give me $20. And he's getting $20 from here, $20 from over there. We've outraised him, and I'm convinced that we'll consistently outraise him, but he is using people outside the district. I am, to use his words, 10 toes in to District 5. And we'll continue with all that. This is going to be a big episode. On this episode, we're going to talk to one of the Democrats running to be the next county executive. We have had Democrats on this podcast and Republicans. We're looking for, common sense solutions along the way. And I think this guy is going to be that if he gets through the Democrat primary. He is Dan Tarwater, who has been on the county legislature before, has a ton of experience, and really the interim job came down to between him and Phil Lavoda. And personally, knowing Phil as well as I do and knowing about Dan, I would have felt comfortable with either one of them. Now, Phil is going to come off as the interim, and Dan is running amid a lot of Democrats to be that executive. So we'll talk to him and get his thoughts. Dr. Fauci faced the Senate after his diaries were released. We'll have fun with that, and more fun with socialists, too. Plus, we'll kick out a couple of Trump clips at the end. In fact, I think Kurt was at a Trump event. I'm pretty sure that was him in the background. Have you seen the clip?
I have not.
To be continued here. So stick around. And as far as my campaign goes, we would love to have your help. If you want to give me $20, give me $20. And the podcast has long reach. If you folks who are enjoying the podcast in Australia, I know we have an audience there. You want to send me $20? Send me $20. I'll match Antoine $20 bill for $20 bill. And you can read all about my campaign and contribute at dalecarter.us. Thank you for your support. As they say at the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner cartoon, on with the show, this is it.
Is that what they say?
On with the show, this is it. You never heard that? Come on.
I don't remember.
I know we have a generation gap on
I've seen
here.
it. I've seen the cartoon. I just don't remember that part.
Overture. Dun, 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 dim the lights. Almost dropped my thing. All right, let's just move on here. Clay Como shooters. That's probably the right
your
thing
best
to do.
interest. Yeah.
Clay Como shooters. There are friends who support the Second Amendment and hunting and definitely personal safety and standing your ground in your home. They're on 69 Highway between I-35 and I-435. You can reach them at 816-452-4867. But if you've made the decision that you're going to protect your family and a firearm is part of that, get trained on it. I don't want a bunch of people going out and just getting a gun somewhere and figuring they know what to do with it. The thing's likely to blow up in your hand if you don't take care of it the right way. These guys are law enforcement and former law enforcement. They train the cops. They can train you. They buy and sell guns, major brands with ammo to go along with them. Not a big box store. Shane and his guys, Herb has been on the podcast before. They're a neighborhood business looking out for you. An affordable indoor range will help with your training as well. Clay Como Shooters, 69 Highway in Clay Como, 816-452-4867. We appreciate them being part of our podcast. Appreciate Kirk Doris as well. Every day I get closer to 65 and I think about Kirk Doris and I'm like, Medicare is on the way. And if you're closer to it than I am, or you've got a parent or a grandparent who's closer to it, make sure you get in front of that, because it's a federal program. It is very complicated, and they make changes to it every year. Kirk Doris studies those changes and can react in a way that helps you determine which part, which plan, which supplemental you're going to need. I was just talking to my mother before we started the podcast today, and as people get older, the medications they need to be on change, and the expense changes. And Kirk Doris can help you make sure you've got the right combination of part, plan, and supplemental to get you through it. So call him, 816-701-6661. You don't pay him. That's the beauty of this. How many people in your life that you get things from that you don't have to pay? The insurance companies pay him to make sure that you make the right selections. He's on Nolan Road in Independence. You can't come to him. He'll come to you on the web at MedicareSimplifiedKC.com.
Tremendous people.
Indeed. So, as promised, one of the 6 Democrats running for the county executive seat in Jackson County, we welcome on Dan Tarwater. He is one of 6 Democrats running for the... It is 6, right, Dan?
It is 6.
Yeah.
It was 5, and now it's 6 again.
Yeah, 6 again. For the nomination on Tuesday to face Republican Alan Rolfing in November. Dan Tarwater is with us. Dan, you and I have been Facebook friends for a very long time. I don't know that we've spent a lot of time together, but you were at the bipartisan the property tax deal that Phil Lavoda put on in Blue Springs, and that impressed me a lot. And I know some of my friends on the Republican side, like Sean Smith, have come forward and backed you. Teresa Cass-Galvin has come out for you as well. So, I mean, maybe you're that guy that comes out of Tuesday that bridges this whole gap.
Well, that has been my whole career. I was a legislator for 7 terms. And what I learned was it's much better to get along with everyone and to work with everyone. To me, it doesn't really matter on the legislative body if you got a D or an R after your name, because in the end, what it's about is helping the people and helping, each legislator that is closest to their district, in-district legislators, and let's get stuff done. And so I've always reached across the aisle. And basically, the way to do that is you start with something in the middle. And then you work your way out, and there's going to be things that we're going to disagree on. But why would you start, like national politics, on the ends of the spectrum? Let's start with gun control and abortion. Well, you're never going to get to that center piece again. So I like working from the center out, and I work with everybody, and I enjoyed my years on the legislature. I don't think any of those legislators right now are having any fun doing anything.
They're not.
Well, and Dale, you look at their agenda. I mean, it's 5-6 pages long because none of them work together. It's like you have 9 individual people doing things. Well, that doesn't work. Well, you need to build those coalitions. You need to work together for the common good and get things done.
Well, I know several people on both sides of the aisle who are running, who are very smart people who think exactly like that. So there is some hope coming for the future here. When I started thinking about this, I was on city council in Blue Springs for 3 terms, and you had an all Republican body there, and we still found things that we disagreed on and had to work together collaboratively to get things done. Sean Smith has kind of like been my Yoda, if you will, on all the things about the legislature, what I need to know, where the bodies are buried, et cetera. And he told me that it's not really about red and blue issues. It's about getting things done. And that's pretty much what you just said.
Correct. I mean, if you break down the county in its simplest terms, the county assesses properties, collects the money for all the taxing jurisdictions, dispenses that money to each of them, so libraries, schools, ETAS, mental health, and the rest of it. And then there's $540 million in today's money that is left for functioning of the county. So out of the billions that come in, 500 million is what the legislature has, in the county, and that goes to the sheriff's department. It goes to, the prosecutor. It goes to the courts. It goes to the judges, And then there's some money left over to help out in the community, working with each of the mayors of the 18 cities and townships.
Right. So you interviewed for the interim position that Phil ended up getting. And now it's interesting, a juxtaposition here, because now you're running, Phil's not going to run. He was in, then he was out. It's kind of crazy how that all came about. Judge what Phil has done in the 8 months that he has been the interim. Anything that you would have done differently if you had been the interim executive?
Well, Phil and I got to sit in a room together as people got interviewed, and we sat in there for a couple hours, and we talked about strategies, and we talked about what either one of us would do if we got chosen. He gave me his list. I gave him my list, of first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days kind of thing. And really, he's followed a lot of that. I am excited that he tackled the tax situation right away. I'm still running on returning people's money, because at the end of the day, I am not positive that will get through the court system, or someone to file an injunction. Because if the schools and the other taxing jurisdictions are going to lose a third of their money for 3 years, I'm sure they're not real happy about that. But if in fact it's copacetic with everybody, great, let's do it. I'm 100% in favor of that. Okay. But like any good leader, you need to have a plan B in case it does get stopped. So my plan is to write everyone a check right away, which is, I don't know, in the neighborhood of $250 million. Jackson County does not have that money. People said, well, it must be hiding somewhere. No, the county collects the money and immediately sends it out to the jurisdictions. So yes, they got windfalls. Did they save it? Probably not.
No.
Just like any entity, you get money in, you spend it.
Right.
So it will be difficult. So my plan, I'll just bond for the money. We're AA+ rated bond county, borrow the money, pay it back over 10 years. So then each year you just lose 10% off of the top of all the revenues that come in to pay that bond back. And really, then that way you don't crush the taxing jurisdictions. And all that money is paid back. It's not a tax increase to anybody. It's doing things within our means. And then that way, after year two, they won't feel anything. Because of growth that you're going to provide when you get on there, in economic development and other things. Yeah. So you have to have a plan B.
So that is your plan B. Plan A would still be what Phil has put in place with tax credits?
Correct. Because just like anything, if you change midstream, you might slow it up. But as I say, it won't be me killing that. It would be the court system, or someone doing a lawsuit, those kind of things. If no one does that, great. Let's give people their money back is number one. The better one, possibly, is get your money back right away and go spend it.
Yeah. You did serve on the legislature for quite a while, so you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. You've seen the county function well under a guy like Mike Sanders, for instance. I always liked Mike. I thought he did a good job until he got caught up in his own campaign mess, and then the whole Frank White debacle, and now to Phil Lavoda. I mean, how did we get where we were, and how do we get out of it? Because right now it's a mess.
Well, it's a lack of leadership. Once Frank got in there, that one too. I had a couple of people that flipped on a vote on the end, and they put Frank in there. I had 4 votes. He had 5. So at that point, I took my 4 votes, and we all voted for Frank, so that we could show unity, and that then we all hopefully were going to all work together. As soon as he got in there, once he hired his right-hand guy, Caleb. They cut everybody off, and then they started accumulating power. I was then off the legislature, and he accumulated even more power.
Right.
And I don't know, it's not even the constitutional home rule charter of Jackson County. But once we get a new legislature in there and a new county executive, we should probably do a charter review and make sure that is never done again.
Completely agree.
Basically, what he did was his administration got rid of anybody that had any institutional knowledge, got rid of all the smart people in the room so they could be the smartest people in the room, which is a horrible way to manage. You want the smartest people around you. They make you look better. He did the exact opposite, and things just started falling apart. And it was always his way or the highway. It was, my phone works, you could call me if you want. And it was horrible. The thing that he implemented, which is totally wrong, and I think it might still be going on right now, and Phil just hasn't had a chance to correct it, but every department head is not allowed to go to a meeting. The legislators are not allowed to contact a department head directly. So they're instructed not to take a phone call or a meeting with anybody on the second floor, which is the legislature. So that needs to change. Day one, all department heads will be in the meeting. It's an hour. And so if you have a question on a shelter at a park, you can ask the park director. If you have a question on a road, you can ask Road and Bridge. You have a question from the prosecutor, she's there. The sheriff's department, all of that. And they were micromanagers. So to get anything done, you had to ask the county executive. The county executive would then ask the director would talk to the county executive, and then it would get back to the legislature a couple of weeks later. And nothing got done. So that will change on day one. I'm in there. So to make sure that you do that. But the other thing that he took were like boards and commissions. In the past, I worked with Shields and I worked with Sanders. So the way that it was always done is there are 6 in-district legislators. So what we always did was we would have one representative from each district. That covers all of Jackson County. That also assures that the people that are in Sibley are represented on something that's coming up, on one of those boards and commissions, because the legislator from that district submitted their name, and then the county executive would appoint them. So I will make sure that we are represented, and will take the recommendations from the legislature from each district and appoint the people to the boards and the commissions.
Boy, that all sounds great. You've kind of touched on the relationship between the executive and the legislature. Now your thoughts. You mentioned Sibley. I would be representing Sibley, and we've already had like a town hall meeting about that battery plant that they want to put right next to the river, which I think they're going to pull that. That's not going to happen. So that's an issue that they're dealing with in Sibley that I'm trying to help them with. What about this tug of war that exists between the city and Eastern Jackson County?
The city meaning Kansas City.
Right. Kansas City versus the eastern suburbs, because the folks in the eastern suburbs feel like, it's a Kansas City deal and we're just a Christmas ornament on it, sending our money down there. And I'm sure Kansas City might have similar feelings about Eastern Jackson County, but it does feel like there's a tug of war.
Well, I would say yes, there is. Once again, that comes from a lack of leadership. In the past, we did not have that. Why? Because Catherine and Mike worked with each of the mayors in Eastern Jack, in all the cities, and brought them to the table. What do you want? What do you need? How can we help? Simple things, and then do them. Frank didn't talk to anybody. And he didn't talk to the mayors. He didn't talk to either of the teams. So that's why they ended up leaving. One of them leaving, the other one wanted to go somewhere else. But because they could never get a conversation with him, he would not talk to them, just like he wouldn't talk to the people out east, even though he lives in Lakewood. But that would change with me. I represent all of Jackson County. I was in district also, and my district was from basically Grandview, from Cass County to Gregory. At one time it went down to 63rd. But it was a small district. And guess what? My district didn't need to have the same needs as everyone else. So I always worked with the other 8 legislators to find out what their districts need, and then champion the things that they wanted. I needed a drug rehab place out south, and we were able to get that done. But for the most part, you are elected in a district, and then you represent Jackson County. So just because I'm elected in South Kansas City didn't mean I'm just South Kansas City. I was there for Fort Osage, for for Sibley, for Buckner, for Lone Jack, because I know where it is and I've been there.
In my door-to-door, as I've been talking to people, they also feel like, now that we've gotten their attention with the tax assessment mess, now they look down the list. It's like, okay, there's the school district, there's the fire district. Oh, and Jackson County's getting a little chunk of my money too. So they want some accountability for the money. You mentioned the $500 million that's left over once the money's all distributed. Are you up for a forensic audit of where the money's all going?
I've called that from day one, and it is 100% needed because I have no idea what Frank White did with the money, or Caleb. And as I said, they got rid of all the people that would have known what, how to handle that, and put their people in that had no idea what they were doing. So 100% that needs to be done, and it especially came glaringly true here recently when they had $70 million in former ARPA money and somehow washed something else, but there's $70 million. And so they gave $35 million out to entities to help people in the community. So I'm not a math major, but if you take 70 million and you take 35 million of it, you should have 35 million left.
Yeah, I'm not a math guy either, but I followed that.
Yeah. So I asked the other day and they said, well, we have 13 million. Where is the other money? And also, I don't believe it was 70. I think it was 90. So yes, there's a lot of discrepancies that are out there that we, Jackson County, need to find out where is it. An audit is done every year, but that's just a topical thing. I would much rather have a comprehensive audit done on the county. And I actually, when I was on the legislature, I was the one that called me and a couple others for the state to come in to do an audit. And they found best practices were being ignored and other things. And the only reason we did that was because we could never get it through to them. This is the way you're supposed to operate.
Yeah. Okay. Your thoughts on the Truman Sports Complex in the future with the teams apparently leaving? So the tenants that Jackson County has had for a long time are not going to be there. What do you think should happen to Truman Sports Complex?
Well, I think on day one that we need to talk to the teams first, because I'm still holding out hope, not as much as some of the others, but I do have a connection on the Kansas side. And I think the Chiefs, what they're looking at right now, because I've talked to my bond counsel people, and they said those star bonds should generate between $400 and $450 million, not the $1.9 billion that the Chiefs have been told that they're going to get from that. And those bonds are going to be the Chiefs. They're going to be the ones that are going to be backing the bonds. So I think they could be looking at a few issues there. And if we're able to, as Kansas said, scoop and score and take them over there, a lot of times those people that scoop sometimes fumble it, and then we can scoop it back and score our way. So we've got to look at that. The Chiefs never really were enthralled with the Royals being out there also. So if the Royals want to move downtown, great. Let's look at how that can happen. But and then the Chiefs always wanted to stay out there. They were going to tear down Kauffman and build a Hall of Fame building out there, and then tailgate experience and some other things, which kind of makes sense. In 2005, when we redid the leases, we brought in two different firms, one from Chicago, one from New York. Both of them came back with the exact same thing, that it was, you can't develop with those teams out there because it is event driven, not destination. So if you think about event driven, when you're out at a game, used to be in the fourth quarter, you left of the football game. Why? To go home, to go to a bar by your house, whatever. But you've spent your time out there. You're not going to go to activities in the parking lot. Same with a baseball game. Bottom of the seventh, eighth inning, you're like, I'm going to beat the crowd. I'm going to get out of here and get closer to my house. So A lot of people do that. So therefore, both firms said they would not develop there. If those teams are gone, yes, there's 402 acres out there of developable land. You also have those rail tracks and trail that go just to the south of parking lot E. So and that runs all the way up through Lee Summit. So you could do some sort of light rail, put that back in through there, tie it into Kansas City's streetcar lane, and you could develop transit in that area. You could then, have mixed use, other things, but it needs to be done with all the stakeholders, which would be Raytown, Independence, Sugar Creek, those areas right around there in Kansas City, of what can we build here? And it's not a data center and it's not a prison, but something that will bring jobs, something that will bring jobs not only for the businesses, but for the building of it. And we will have meetings on what we can do there. But number one is let's talk to the teams.
Yeah, I get that. But if the teams are going to leave, I mean, where my gut is, and I could be talked out of it, certainly, again, when we have conversations and we talk about what the best thing to do moving forward is, but my first instinct is get it off the books. The county's not a developer.
Well, I'm in many town hall meetings and forums and other things, and there's a couple of the candidates running for county executive, that one was to reform the bus system. Once again, county does not have a bus system. There is none. We're one member of 9 on the KCATA. If you want to do a regional transit system, great. It's going to be a tax increase for everyone. And if people want to do that, we can talk about it. But it's not like I'm going to come in and fix the bus system. That's not happening. So same thing, with development out there. People will say, well, we should build affordable housing. And I remind them in the 200-year history of Jackson County's never built one house.
Right.
That's not in their purview.
Right.
Once again, they assess property and collect taxes.
The way I put it is, get back to our core competencies. You mentioned fumble and scoop and all that. I say get back to blocking and tackling. Let's get back to what the county should be doing, do that well, and then maybe we branch out a little bit from there.
I am with you on that, but I don't want to go backward.
Yeah.
But I do want, and as I said, right now you have 9 people, legislators, that are operating independently. I used to teach a class for new legislators. Each year, every 4 years, when we would get new legislators, sit down with them and, explain what an ordinance is, what a resolution is, what the county can do, what the county can't do, what you should do, with the cell phone, with, car allowance, with other things, just to basically keep them out of trouble, but also teach them what it is. This stuff, bringing up wedge issues to have people vote on it, for no reason, other than symbolic, that does not fly.
Yeah.
Recently, I think it was, Manny brought up something about, we're going to enact gun control. Well, as soon as you do that, the county has no authority to do that. And I'm not saying that we need to curtail some areas of it. That's not in what we do.
Right.
That is state and federal.
Masking for ICE agents. He brought that up too. And
asking for ICE agents, should they be masked? In most situations, probably not. In some instances, yes. But once again, you can't tell the federal government. And when you come in Jackson County, you can't wear a mask.
Yeah.
Because it does 2 things. It makes them mad, which hurts you in other areas that you're trying to work with the federal government to get money for infrastructure and other things. But it gets you sued.
Yeah. There's that.
And so now you've got to hire attorneys to defend you in a case that is a loser.
Yeah, the legal bill for Jackson County already, from what Frank White put us through, is probably extensive.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out, I guess. Well, I hope that I'm taking that class that you talk about here in January, because I want to do everything right between the lines with no gray area at all. Before we let you go, I do want to ask you one more question. Your thoughts on Amendment 2, because I was in a forum where they asked me about 4 and 5, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to split the people who might want to vote for me by weighing in on that, because it's not a county issue, in my opinion. I said, if you want to talk about Amendment 2, I'll talk about that all day. So what are your thoughts on Amendment 2?
Amendment 2 really does nothing because Jackson County already voted to have an elected assessor. So in 2028, we will have an elected assessor, no matter if people vote no on Amendment 2, because it's the state saying Jackson County will have an elected assessor. Well, we already do, in 2028, because it was already passed.
So this doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything. What it would do is it could put that in the purview of the state instead of the county. So if the county decided in 20 years that, hey, an elected assessor may not be the best way to go because of outside influence or whatever,
right?
Then they couldn't change it, because now it's codified in the constitutional law of the state of Missouri. So I would say, I'm voting no on that one, just because it's here. Jackson County's never had an elected assessor, and it never needed one until Frank White got in.
Oh, that's true. Frank White changed the rules on a lot of things, didn't he?
Changed the rules on everything. So, we want to be careful of how we whip that thing back, because sometimes consequences can come up. You're like, oh yeah, I didn't really mean it to do that.
Yeah.
But so we got to be careful on it. But yeah, right now we have an elected assessor. So 2 does 0.
So, in my mind, looking at this election, it comes down to you and Bill Baird. I mean, I don't want to discount anybody else, but is that how you see it?
I believe Stacey Lake also.
Yeah, Stacey has run a good campaign as well. I just looked at the MEC reports, though, and Bill Baird, I mean, those builders and those unions, they love that guy.
And I've always had support from the unions in the past, so I don't say anything bad about them. I mean,
right.
They do great work. But yes, all of them went with Bill Baird in this election cycle. But I will also point out there's many people that get elected that had 0 support from them.
Yeah. Well, I see your signs all over town.
I won the sign war.
You definitely won the sign war.
Yeah. Now let's win the election. That's the big thing.
Well, we'll see how it turns out on Tuesday. I do wish you the best of luck. And, who knows? Down the road, we may well be working very closely together, and I would enjoy that.
Dale, I would love it. Thank you very much. And thank you for having me on your show. And congratulations on such a successful show. So,
all right. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Take care.
Okay.
All right, and again, a reminder that Election Day for the primary is coming up on Tuesday, and there are a lot of contested elections out there, and there are definitely amendments, as you just heard Dan and I talking about Amendment 2. I'm a yes on that because I want it codified at the state level so that somebody can't change it. He thinks the other way and thinks it's going to be just fine the way it is. And again, he's a Democrat, I'm a Republican, so we're going to have things that we disagree on. Hopefully, the important things that the county does, we're all going to be able to work together on and move forward, unlike the Frank White administration. Funhouse Pizza is a place where you can grab a slice and a cold beverage and work out whatever disagreements you have. Jim Dingman is a fine American, upstanding American. In fact, he told me that he was either tailgating you or you were tailgating him today.
He pulled up next to me this morning and made a funny face at me and scared the bejesus out of me.
Well, he's a funny guy.
He is.
Thus the name, Funhouse Pizza. 50 Highway in Lee Summit, 7 Highway in Blue Springs. Eat in, carry out. Order online at funhousepizza.com. They have tremendous pizza. If you like your toppings piled high, you're going to love Funhouse Pizza. Get it delivered, too. They have great pizza, cold drinks, fun atmosphere. Book your team party now. They got coupons online. Jim Dingman is definitely going to take care of you, much like my friend Michael Schroer will take care of you in the real estate world. Michael is a broker with RE/MAX Elite in Lee Summit. I'm going to give out his office number and his cell phone number. If you're in the market, if you're ready to sell, don't fall into this trap. I don't know if this happens to you, Kurt. there's not a week that goes by that I don't get a text that I didn't solicit that say, hey, Dale, I was just thinking about your house in Blue Springs. Are you thinking about a number that you want to sell it for? Do you get those?
No, I don't, because I'm not trying to sell my house.
I'm not either.
I also don't talk about it on the podcast every week. Maybe that has something to do with it.
And I think those are bots. You know, I Googled, what do you do when you get those? And it said, go immediately and block them and report them. And I do that every time because I'm not in the market. And when I am in the market, if you are listening, I got one guy I'm going to talk to, and that's Michael Schroer, and we've already started that conversation. His number is 816-373-8400. His cell is 816-520-9342, or drop him an email, and he'll get right back to you. Michael Schroer, 56 at gmail.com. SCHROER. Michael, SCHROER, the number 56 at gmail.com. This is how I feel about door-to-door salesmen. If I want something, I'm going to go get it.
Yes.
I will find you. You don't need to come find me.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. So
that's like, man, I do not envy those people, the door-to-door salesmen.
Terrible.
Yeah, we had one yesterday that came by for security system, and I was like, man, I should just ignore these guys. And then I just went out and I'm like, I'll just talk to them for a second. Like, their job is so hard. You know what I'm saying? They got it rough, man.
Well, I had a bug guy come by, and we have a no soliciting sign on our door. Do you have that?
No, probably should.
Yeah. Well, they can't read anyway. They don't read it. They ignore it. They ring the doorbell. Yeah. And he basically browbeat me until I signed a contract. And in the back of my mind, I knew when that contract was up, I was going to cancel it, and I'm never going to use that company again. And it reinforces to me that if somebody comes like the salesperson and rings my doorbell with the no soliciting sign up, I'm going to say, can you not read?
Yeah.
I'm giving you 5 seconds to get off my porch.
Get off my lawn.
Get out of my yard. Yeah. So I'll try. So far, I haven't had to test that yet. And honestly, when I do the door-to-door door knocking thing, I don't know how political candidates weigh into that, because I'm not really selling anything door-to-door other than me.
Right.
But I've just made it my personal policy. If I see a no soliciting sign, I just leave my little thing there on the in the door and move on. I don't ring the doorbell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think that's a good policy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So on to Dr. Fauci. I don't see the video screen, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I'll get that up. Sorry.
And we're going to have some video clips here that are going to be fun. Let's talk about COVID here for a second, because we all lived through it, right? Who can forget? Shots, masking, social distancing, shutting down the economy, shutting down schools. And when the Democrats got in there, you know, Trump had the first part of COVID, and then Biden comes in. And Biden bought into Fauci's BS right away, and they were floating the idea of a disinformation board. Do you remember that? It's like, if you come out and you say anything that is against what we're telling you to do, we want to stop that. We want to shut that down.
Yeah, we played that whole song about it. The leader of the supposed disinformation board had that whole weird song.
Yeah.
Super cringe and creepy.
Yeah. So we went through all of that. Now the patron saint of COVID is being exposed through his own diaries. He kept a diary, and I guess somehow that got out. I don't know how it got out. How did it get out?
Somebody probably leaked it, somebody close to him and his family, or somebody that knew he had it or had access to it.
Well, it shows him to be an egotistical, fame-seeking, money-grabbing hypocrite. That's pretty much what he is. But as Fox News' Trace Gallagher explains, you won't find any of this in mainstream media.
Well, the Fox News and Night Common Sense Department is not surprised to see the liberal media again playing possum, which means to fall into a coma-like state to trick predators. But this coma-like state is to trick viewers and competitors, so the media doesn't have to admit being wrong about Anthony Fauci. And when you don't want to fess up, you simply hush up. Maybe that's why media watchdogs are now reporting that ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, and MS Now ignored the new Fauci story. Odd, because during COVID, the liberal media never ignored a Fauci story. He wasn't just the public face of COVID, he was the science. And because they kept telling us to follow the science, they were telling us to follow Fauci. as he tried to convince us to stay 6 feet apart, wear a mask, get the vaccine, and that COVID did not originate in some lab. And apparently Fauci did convince New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio and California Governor Gavin Newsom to shut down schools and lock down the economy. And when prominent doctors and scientists disagreed, Fauci dismissed them. But the press playing possum is nothing new. Think laptops, collusion, cognitive decline, where the media repeatedly lied itself into silence. Common sense thinks the liberal media made Fauci a star, and he was fixated on the fame. Odds are the blame and the shame probably won't feel the same.
Yeah, I like that piece from Trace Gallagher. Fauci, as you may recall, was pardoned for anything that might ever come up related to this. Joe Biden did sweeping pardons on the way out. Normally, the way a presidential pardon works is you have been convicted of a crime or something along those lines, and the president can come along with great power, as Donald Trump has said. He even mentioned the fact that, Biden had this incredible power. Fauci was pardoned. So Fauci has been pardoned. It was either by Joe or the auto pen. We don't know which.
With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey.
It is interesting, though, as he was hauled before the Senate to explain some of this stuff, and he invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Again, he's been pardoned. Pardoned for... Right? I mean, that's my understanding.
Yeah, mine too. I haven't really been following this story too closely, but yeah.
Okay, so he takes the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination over 100 times. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley went after him hard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color is the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyer is sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs. They know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic you got rich, didn't you? You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. And not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million. You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah. What a guy, huh?
So what is the, because like I said, I haven't been following this. So can you explain this to me like a 5-year-old? Well, not like a 5-year-old, but
which part?
What's happening with the diary and all that? Why is he in front of the Senate? What's going on here?
They've hauled him back, because all these diaries have been released and they have questions. And that Rand Paul has been after him from the get-go.
Yeah.
And what Fauci will tell you is he's not going to answer these questions because Rand Paul's trying to catch him in a gotcha moment and in order to go after him criminally. But he's already been pardoned. That's what Hawley is saying. You've been pardoned. You can't stand on the privilege. And this is not the end of this. They're going to follow this through the courts, and something may well happen here because Fauci made some mistakes along the way, a lot of mistakes along the way. And then when you start hearing things like what he's bringing up, that he had his staff out there applying for awards, one of them $900,000 that went right into Fauci's pocket, That's inappropriate, don't you think?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have somebody on my staff who tries to help me win like the CMA or the ACM award. That's one thing. I'm not a government guy, basically with a big staff trying to get personally for me, big cash rewards. So that's why the stink of all this is coming up again.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, but it's a show. It's like, it's so performative, like even the Hawley thing. I mean, it's cool like that he wants to press him and ask questions, but nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's all performative. And even I pulled up this thing that Trump put out yesterday, the covid.gov site that they put together, where it's like Trump at the top, lab leak, the true origins of COVID-19. And he, goes through all this stuff. It's like, okay, first of all, we've known this for 4 years now.
Right.
And second, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
This is just smoke and mirrors. Like, Fauci's never going to jail.
Yeah.
And if he should have been convicted, it would have been before he was pardoned, and that didn't happen. So
I don't disagree with you, and I feel the same way about the 2020 election. I mean, yeah, they got us. Okay, they got us during COVID. They got me to take shots because I wanted to keep my gig with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs made it very clear that no shot, no job. And there were a lot of employers who did that, and people had to make decisions on stuff like that. And they shut down schools, and they probably harmed a generation of children and all that. These are the kind of things we can never forget, but we can't do anything about. Does that make sense?
Well, I think we can do stuff about it, but they're not willing to. That's
you can't
what I'm
go
saying.
backward and do stuff about it.
You can't go backward, but you can still put people in jail. You can still actually like change the law or hold people accountable. Like putting out a press release on whitehouse.gov and making a big deal about it and getting all your friends to share it on social media isn't actually doing anything. It's the equivalent of like the black square for BLM, oh, well, we put our fists up for George Floyd. Like, okay, that's just virtue signaling.
Right.
Like this is conservative virtue signaling. And yeah, maybe we agree with it. Maybe we agree that, yeah, it came from a lab. Yeah, the vaccine was the push of the vaccine was a bad idea, which Trump was behind also, by the way.
I know he was. Yeah.
So like the whole thing is just, it's like, it's for show. It's like political posturing.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind, remember we went through this on the local level too with the Jackson County Health Department. They used COVID to shut down gatherings. They went after businesses like Ray's Cafe, which we've talked about, when they dared to go against the ridiculous mask mandates. So that's something, I'm running for this job to be on the Jackson County Legislature, that I have my antenna up for the next time about not having an overreaching health department that is stepping all over people. And then you got the hypocrisy involved, the rules for thee and not for me, which we've talked about. Pictures of Mayor Q partying at Lake of the Ozarks, Gavin Newsom at the French Laundry?
French Laundry, yeah.
Which is a really dumb name for a restaurant. Really, I mean, I think of the smell of a laundromat when I think about that. But anyway.
Yeah, but it's a French laundromat. It smells flowery and expensive.
I've never been to a French laundromat. Maybe I'm missing out here. But he went there and he cuddled with his buddies at the restaurant when he was telling everybody else to stay away from each other. Fauci, remember him? He was at a Washington Nationals game, and they had pictures of him sitting with a crowd of people with no mask on. What's this, Dr. Fauci? I mean, I bring this up because, number one, it's in the news, and number two, it's just a reminder that this happened. They got one over on us in a big way, and I think I said this on a podcast episode. My doctor at the time told me that when patients came in and died at the hospital, if they died with COVID but not from COVID, let's say they were stage 4 cancer, and they had COVID, they were listed as a COVID death.
Oh yeah, I mean the average number of pre-existing conditions for the quote-unquote COVID death was like 4.5 or something like that. So it's not that healthy people that just got COVID died, and we this is stuff that we know, and I'm not saying it's not worth talking about. Like, yeah, it's in the news and it's important. Like you said, we can never forget. And for all of us that are not the president or not Dr. Fauci or not a senator, like, we actually need to take the lesson that we learned from COVID and actually implement changes in our lives and actually be aware of this moving forward so that we don't get taken advantage of. That's all true. I'm just saying that this whole what color's your tie? And then putting out.
Come on, it was funny.
It was funny, but it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's for show.
All right, fine. Did we learn lessons from this? The government tested controlling the population. That's what it felt like to me. Hey, we can do this and we can shut down the government. Or not the government. The government's got to be there. It's the population. You can't go anywhere. We can't go to school. Can't go to church. Can't do this. Can't do that. And we did it. We willingly went along like sheep and we did it. What will the next attempt look like?
100%.
Kind of depends on who wins. We'll continue to track that for you. Max Motors, maxmotors.com. Mark Muller, my dear friend and campaign contributor. I love Mark Muller. He's a very unique American. If you don't know much about him, you could probably Google and find a video or two with Mark Muller and some of the crazy stuff that he's done. But one of the things he does is he owns and operates the Max Motors dealerships. And they're on the fringes. They're in Richmond, Clinton, Butler, Nevada. They're a small town group of dealerships that are selling American-made vehicles, the ones you know, Ford, Chrysler, Chevy, GMC, and they're in places like Richmond, Clinton, Butler, and Nevada. Low overhead. They beat the big city guys every time. They're the Amazon of car dealers, too. You don't want to make the trek to Richmond or Butler or Nevada or Clinton. Pick out the car you want at maxmotors.com. Kurt's scrolling through the website as we speak. Pick the one you want. They'll bring it to you, and they'll do the deal at your house. Easiest place to buy your next car. And the small-town American values of God, family, and country run through every Max dealership. And as Mark always says, if you don't buy from him, he encourages you to buy American.
America first.
Yeah. Do you see the Fairfax plant is going to retool? They were doing the Chevy Volt, and they so unpopular. These electric vehicles. Yeah. So especially when the tax credits went away. Oh boy, did that change the equation.
Yeah.
And now Chevrolet is bringing back the is it the Traverse? It's one of their SUVs.
The SUV, yeah. The Traverse is one, or what's the other one? I forget.
Well, they're bringing it back to Fairfax, where they had gotten down to less than one shift of operation. They're going to go full on to two, and there may be a third shift. They're really ramping up there for production here in Kansas City, and I think that is a good thing. No matter what you buy, foreign or domestic, electric, gas, somewhere in between with a hybrid, you got to take care of it. I was at Christian Brothers Automotive in Independence yesterday, and a fan of the podcast, who I will not name, was in there because his air conditioning went out on his car. And he's like, yep, I'm coming to Christian Brothers. So thank you for the tip on that. Tim Porter is the owner of the Independence location. They're each one independently owned and operated, and Tim is my guy. But you can find the Christian Brothers Automotive closest to you at christianbrothersauto.com. They definitely hold your hand, especially if you're like me and you don't know a lot about cars. I admit that I don't know much about them, but I do know that they take care of my vehicles. They walk me through everything they need to do. If they need to do anything really big, you get 3 years, 36,000 miles, whichever benefits you the most. They work on everything. And just as I was walking into the studio here to do the podcast, I got a text from them. How did we do? What can we do better? They're always looking to better the relationship with their customers. Sometimes in the past, when I've taken my car to a garage or two, I feel like I got taken advantage of because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You don't feel that way with Christian Brothers. So go see Tim Porter, 816-795-6811, a faith-based business that puts the customer first. And you'll find them on 40 Highway just east of 470/291, whatever you call it there. They're in the median between the lanes there, and Tim will take care of you. So get that first oil change scheduled and take it from there. So our socialist friends are doubling down both here locally and in the country. The Democrat Party civil war continues. Latest polling shows former New York bartender and arguably the stupidest member of Congress, AOC, is the leading candidate for president of the United States. Have you seen this?
I haven't, but it's not surprising at all.
It's crazy. There's also reporting that a serious ticket of Kamala Harris and AOC is being discussed.
Selflessness and solidarity. And most importantly, we renew our commitment to He said
because when we work together with devotion to our neighbors, our community, and to this country, we can bring light into the darkness. So thank you once again for having me here today.
You know, there was a certain point when AOC was competing for the dumbest member of Congress. Today's not that day. That's over. Undisputed, heavyweight champion of the world, AOC. You won. You won. Y'all need to get this out of here. Whoever's voting for this, whoever it is, you stop it.
I like that guy.
Tell us how you really feel.
No kidding. So we've talked about the Democratic Socialist Party of America and their platform, and you would think that somebody on the other side would be going, oh, no, we don't really believe that. You're just making that up because you're a right-wing hack and all that. Well, they not only don't deny it, they embrace it. Play the next clip.
So we're going to put up on the screen a few of the things that are part of your platform, and I want to ask you, just give me sort of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate.
True.
Okay. Replace the presidency and Supreme Court as we now know them.
Yep.
Abolish ICE.
Absolutely.
Abolish borders and give amnesty to anyone currently in the U.S. illegally.
As a long-term plan, yep.
Defund the Pentagon.
Absolutely.
Abolish prisons, at least in large part.
Yeah, again, that, as part of a long-term program, yeah.
Okay, so no prisons. Government or public ownership of most large corporations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lose 50 pounds. No, not that one.
I mean, they're copping to it. So when you vote for people like this, don't be surprised when they actually do it, right? They aren't hiding what they want to do. From national figures like AOC and Bernie to local people running right here in this area on Tuesday, like Justice Horn. Justice Horn is an interesting guy. I follow him on Facebook almost for the comedic value of it, but he might well win an at-large seat on the county legislature. I may be working with him down the road. And if I'm not, it could be Antoine Jennings, right, who beats me in November. If you vote for Antoine Jennings, he's right in lockstep with these people. He brags that the people that he's sending out to knock doors in eastern Jackson County are from the DSA-KC, the Democratic Socialists of America, KC. And let's not forget that the socialist mayor of New York, Mamdani, who unveiled his city-funded grocery stores, aren't exactly what he promised.
Here's how it will work. Once a month, our 5 city-run grocery stores will set prices for this core set of goods at 30% below typical retail prices. No exceptions, no gimmicks. The savings will last for the entire month. That means no weekly fluctuations nor sticker shock at the checkout line.
Now, wait a minute. I thought it was going to be free, right? It was going to be free. Who's going to have access to these grocery stores? You think they got to show ID to get in? That's another question. And what will this do to retail grocers in the 5 boroughs of New York? The people who are trying to make a living and feed their families off of grocery store sales. You know what's happening? I just heard this on the way here. A coalition of those folks are suing Mayor Mamdani over these grocery stores. Yeah. I mean, imagine if you owned any kind of a business, right? And the government funds a like business that you're in. I mean, we talked about laundries. How about dry cleaners? Okay, you've got a dry cleaning business, and I don't know if anybody still does dry cleaning or not, but let's say that the city funds a dry cleaning outfit right next to you, and they make the prices 30% less because they're funding them with taxpayer dollars. Does that seem fair to you? No. I don't get it. And this is also the mayor. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right. Is it Pied-à-Terre? It's a French thing. It's PIED-A-TERRE.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
don't speak French. I speak American.
These are people who own secondary homes, right? And he's decided that that's one area of revenue for him. He's going to go after people who own a second home in New York and tax them out the wazoo. And now he's gone public with a list. He's doxed all these people. He's put their names in the paper with the addresses and how much they're worth. I mean, what could go wrong there?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So imagine you're a squatter and you're looking for a place to squat. Oh, look at this list. These are all second homes. There's probably nobody there. I'm going to kick a door and I'm going to squat, and then good luck to you getting me out. There's also privacy concerns in there, and you wonder why more U-Hauls just left New York, because these people are going to get out. It's crazy town. It is crazy town where these people are getting elected, and it's funny to me, some of them who probably voted for Mamdani are joining these lawsuits against his grocery stores, so the civil war continues on the left as well. And who'd have thought at the end of the day that James Carville would seem like the most reasonable Democrat in the room? I found this interview. He's interviewed by liberal journalist Al Hunt. You know who Al Hunt is?
No.
He's married to Judy Woodruff. Do you remember her at all?
Nope.
She was on CNN for a long time. Very, very liberal. In fact, at the end of it, if you want to watch the whole clip, he says I mean Democrats need to do, because he is one of them. And also, I think that James is actually in bed doing this interview.
I don't know if we're not better off said, okay, we'll take that alternative ID, bring your gas bill or your light bill or something. Because for whatever reason, this shit polls at 75%. It doesn't make, I don't think people are aware of it. I think people assume that voter fraud happened. Again, I don't even want to say if you want to say infinitesimal, I don't know if I could think of a word that would be even narrower than that. I would say that. And I don't like when we say, well, look, it's a very minor problem, but you got to admit it barely exists. And it doesn't make any sense. Having said that, we are not going to win the war against some kind of ID. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fix anything, but maybe you just go along with it and move to the next
Well,
stage.
James, let me disagree. We have voter ID in most states. Most states have voter ID. Right. What they're trying to do with this so-called SAVE Act is require what they say is proof of citizenship, which is either a birth certificate, which, I don't know, 25, people have a hard. I went a couple of years ago, I was going to take a trip overseas, and about 10 days ahead of time, I couldn't find, I spent 10 days trying to get my birth certificate. Or secondly, a passport, which most people don't have. And thirdly, if you talk about your birth certificate and, you didn't get to keep your maiden name, my wife let me keep mine. If you didn't get to keep your maiden name, you're in trouble. So I think you're absolutely right on voter ID, but we basically have it.
If we have it, just say, okay, pass the law. I mean, I think it's,
I don't want to pass that SAVE Act.
I never had a problem with it. I'm just saying, of all the things, if every poll shows 75 or better, say we should have some kind of an ID to vote. Some state, I don't know what it is, but shit, just quit fighting and go along with it and move to the next thing.
Keep going.
That's fine. That's enough. But why all this matters?
That's a power move, by the way. You just take the interview in bed and you're like, I'm not even going to get out of bed. You're just going to have to deal with this. He put on a shirt, though. So that's
he did. That was nice of him. I wanted to go out of the country. 10 days to go, and I couldn't find my birth certificate. Well, Al's birth certificate is in stone, by the way. They don't even. That's not even paper. So why does all this matter? And I put up a slide on the podcast Facebook page, and the left is reading it completely wrong. What really matters out of all this is the 2030 census, which is coming up, right? And it's why sanctuary cities and states are defended by Democrats, because their crazy policies are driving citizens out of California and New York. What's going to be left behind? Well, all these illegals that Joe Biden let in. And God forbid Donald Trump go in there and try and get rid of them with ICE, the same agency that Barack Obama used. Oh, we got to get rid of ICE because they're getting rid of all these people. When the census is counted, the census, if you go to the Constitution, doesn't say count the citizens who live there. It's the people who are there. They don't ask about your citizenship, so they're trying to bulk up their numbers because congressional representation and the number of seats in the House is based upon the census from that year. Like right now we're working off the 2020 census. It'll be the 2030 census moving forward. And boy, if they could jam-pack New York and California and keep those seats in the House of Representatives, they're going to be okay. They lose seats because they should, because they're driving people out of their states. They're going to lose representation, and it'll be really hard for Democrats to win on a national level if that happens.
Yep.
They got to hold on. Got to hold on to all those illegals, and that's why it all matters. What matters to you ought to be the biggest investment that you have, and that's your house. You got to make sure you got the right roof on it. I see these pictures that Austin Watterson puts up on his Facebook page and roofbyroyal.com, and you see the shoddy work that's being done. And it's like me doing a repair inside my house. If I do a repair inside my house, it's going to be crap, and somebody's going to have to come along behind me, and they're going to have to undo what I did and fix it. When it comes to the roof, I didn't even try. I'm terrified of heights, so I wouldn't even go up there. I called Austin immediately, and I said, hey, I got a problem with my roof. I got a major leak in the dormer on the second floor. He fixed that, and then when the entire roof shot craps, it was a no-brainer to call Austin Watterson at roofbyroyal.com at 816-540-7057. These days, he's working with a material called Tamco Hail Guard. Why do you need that in the great Midwest? Because of the hailstorms we have. My goodness, this spring and early summer was terrible. If you've got Tamco Hail Guard beyond Class 4, your roof is going to outlast you. And that's what you want, right? You want to be able to sell that house and say, hey, I put this roof on here. This roof's going to go through any storm that you're going to face in the Kansas City metro area. Roofedbyroyal.com. Look at the pictures. Learn all you can about Tamco, and then get that free inspection. Austin's team on your roof, shooting you straight about the state of your roof. 816-540-7057. Who's going to be happy about that? It's going to be your insurance person. My insurance guy, Bob Watson, was all over it when I got my new roof. And Bob Watson's a great guy to call if you need a rate quote on your homeowner's policy, your auto policies, your life insurance, commercial insurance, boats, licensed in both Missouri and Kansas. Get that rate quote, bundle your home and car insurance. You'll save even more, just like I do. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call my buddy Bob Watson. He's based in Blue Springs, but that doesn't matter. Licensed in the states of Missouri and Kansas. 816-229-7878. My buddy Bob Watson. He'll take care of you.
Tremendous people.
So, a couple of little Trump nuggets to throw out at you on the way out. I saw this clip, and it frankly doesn't look like Kurt, but it reminded me of Kurt. It made me wonder if Kurt was in the crowd at a Trump rally.
Our country, and Americans are working today more so than ever before. We have more jobs today than we've ever had. This is with this skirmish we have with the Islamic Republic of Iran, and I call it that because let me tell you, they're getting hit so hard, and they want to make a deal. But I say they're not ready to make a deal. Any time in the history of our country, and Americans are working today.
He was pretty spot on with what he was saying, too.
Definitely. Well, I think he was reading off the teleprompter.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So he was in great position to see the teleprompter. So that wasn't you at the rally, right?
That was not me.
You want to do your impersonation?
Anytime we're going to bomb the heck out of them, right? Israel wants us to. We got to do it, okay?
Okay, one last thing. Bonus coverage. Trump is the guy that you want to be sitting next to at a funeral if you need a breath mint.
Hey, you need this for your breath? Yeah.
Little tic-tac action. By the way, I think he missed his mouth on that one. So they all got a Tic Tac. There you go.
Everything is a news story now, isn't it?
That was from Lindsey Graham's funeral.
Yeah.
And Trump knows he's going to have the camera on him all the time. I think he took a little siesta during the thing too. And anytime he closes his eyes and his head leans one way, they make a story out of that. Yeah. He's sleeping. But if you watch the video in real time, maybe he leans his head over, shuts his eyes for a second, then he's right back in the deal.
Did you see the tap? This is the one that I saw, the clip of him tapping.
I heard about this, didn't see it. I mean, what's wrong with that? Everybody does that.
There's nothing. It's totally normal.
I mean, I thought when I read the story that he was like knocking on it, like knock, knock, knock. Anybody
it's totally
in there?
normal, but yeah, it's like all over like Twitter and everything. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's so funny! Look at him tapping." It's like
when I told Ed Walker, the midday guy KF, what I was going to do here with the kicker on this, and he said, "There's like 2.5 more years left. He's never going to run again, and he doesn't give a shit. He's going to do whatever he wants to do." So,
I guess so.
Keep rolling tape, make fun of it. You need a Tic Tac at a funeral. Donald Trump is your guy. Until next week, we'll be your guys. This is Dale Carter's America.
The views expressed on Dale Carter's America are Dale's and Kurt Wheeler's. They do not necessarily reflect the views of KFKF or Steel City Media. Comments can be sent to dalecartersamerica@gmail.com. Check back for weekly episodes. Subscribe, spread the word, and give us a 5-star review. Thanks for being a part of Dale Carter's America.